Rachel Maddow caught doing the unthinkable. Should she be fired? A segment of MSNBC's Rachel Maddow show displayed a Sharon implying the widespread anti-socialist protests in Venezuela were actually against President Donald Trump. That is sick. The show, which aired on Thursday, implied that a donation to Donald Trump's inauguration of $500,000 from a subsidiary of a Venezuelan state-run oil company was a cause of recent protests. A headline at the bottom of the screen during a segment explaining the donation read, "Unrest in Venezuela over Trump donations," without noting the growing food and medicine shortages that have occurred there as a direct result of nearly 2 decades of social mismanagement. Rachel Maddow show, Sharon says, Trump donations to blame for Venezuela. But who gave her the authority to do this? She couldn't do it on her own.
Son got a meeting with National Security Council officials on February 8th. Then the following day, on February 9th, he was actually ushered into an even higher level meeting. Ushered into the top tier of the White House for a meeting personally with the president's top advisor, Steve Bannon. The purpose of those meetings, the National Security Council meeting and then the Steve Bannon meeting, the purpose of both of them was reportedly for him to present his detailed 10-point plan for changing U.S. foreign policy toward Venezuela, and specifically dropping U.S. sanctions toward that country. The guy reportedly put Venezuela's foreign minister on the phone with one of these National Security Council officials that he was meeting, put the foreign minister from Venezuela on the phone during the meeting, apparently just to show off that he could get the foreign minister on his cell phone during the meeting. Now, Venezuela doesn't get a ton of political coverage in the United States, but Venezuela is a country in intense turmoil right now. The sanctions that the U.S. put on Venezuela were put there in 2014 after 43 people got killed while participating in anti-government protests. Another 3 people got killed in anti-government protests just yesterday. There have been weeks and weeks and weeks of rioting and violent protests. And now today, Venezuelans are enraged anew by this brand new FEC filing from the White House, which shows that interesting thing about the guy who got the meeting with the NSC officials and with Steve Bannon. It also shows that while Venezuelans have been rioting in the streets, while there have been acute food shortages and medicine shortages in Venezuela, this is a country that should be a rich country, but people have literally been starving in Venezuela. Somehow in the midst of this incredible economic and political crisis in Venezuela, Venezuela's state-run oil company somewhere found $500,000 to donate to the very, very, very inexplicably overfunded Trump inauguration. Venezuela's state-run oil company gave him $500,000 too. So Venezuela's state-run oil company is dumping money into the Trump inauguration, $500,000. Meanwhile, another $500,000 plus was apparently enough to open up not just the White House, but the National Security Council, the freaking National Security Council, to a very well-connected donor and international investor who had a plan that he wanted to share on Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela is in dire straits. It does not have the money to spare, and yet they inexplicably dumped $500,000 on Trump. And this Venezuela-connected guy whose dad donated to the Trump inaugural with a 10-point plan to take away the sanctions on Venezuela? Do you think he would have gotten a meeting with the National Security Council and the top advisor to the president at the White House had he not shoveled them $666,000?
Again,
something that was already
Illuminati 666. Yeah, this is all bull. During the segment, Maddow claimed Venezuelans are enraged over by this brand new FEC filing from the White House showing that Venezuela's state-run oil company somewhere found $500,000 to donate to the very, very, very inexplicable overfunded Trump inauguration. Maddow was referring to a report showing that Citgo Petrol, an American affiliate of Petróleos de Venezuela, the state-run oil company, donated $500,000 to the Trump inauguration. A report from the November last year found that Venezuela's state-run oil corporation, Petróleos de Venezuela, has 11 billion unaccounted for in the past decade. While Maddow did not directly link the protest to the donation, the only thing close to an explanation for the protest she gave was that, quote, the sanctions that the U.S. put on Venezuela were put there in 2014 after 43 people got killed while participating in an anti-government protests. Nowhere in the segment are socialist policies or left-wing political oppression, including the imprisonment of prisoners of conscience, mentioned, nor does she mention that the victims in the 2014 protests were largely killed by state police, National Guard, and socialist gangs. There is no evidence suggesting the reason behind the civil unrest was the donation. Opposition leader Enrique Capriles, who was recently banned from holding public office for 15 years without cause, called for protests to fight the government's military plan designed to silence opposition, promising that they, quote, will not rest until Venezuela returns to constitutional order. You can't blame this on Trump. And even, let's say they did donate the money to the Trump thing, you know, like, it's not Trump's fault. And the sanctions, again, they were placed in 2014. Trump just got in. Venezuela's been a mess for a while now. A long while. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.